What's going on, guys? We have an exciting video today. The developer of Provenance emulator on iOS has released a fork of the JIT-less build of DolphiniOS, and it's actually pretty sick. It has limitations, of course, and depending on the device you're using, it's not going to work that great. I'm going to be testing it on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and you're going to see some surprising results. So let's jump right in here. First, let me just show you the settings that I have. Everything is basically default, but I do have a few notable changes here. So you'll see under fast memory, I have this enabled. If you try enabling this by default, you'll notice that it's grayed out. And that's because you need to add the extended memory management entitlement to DolphiniOS. And you do that with the Get More RAM app. If you saw my tutorial for the Mellow NX setup with Get More RAM, it's basically the same exact process. So you're basically going to just set that up, add the entitlement to DolphiniOS, uninstall it and reinstall it again, and then you can enable that. And I do that because it'll give us the best performance possible. And if you don't have that, you'll notice that the performance just won't be as good, even with JIT. So I highly recommend doing that if you can. The other settings that I have here are basically defaults, but the one that you're going to be looking at are this adaptive clock here, and then some of these other ones you can mess around with. But the emulated CPU clock override and the VBI frequency override, these are some settings that you're going to want to mess around with. I'm going to leave them default for this video because honestly, you can configure these in many different ways to get different results. I just want to show you the default settings here. Default settings with a default performance. But everything is basically the defaults here. So kind of just go through all the graphics settings are defaults. It's set to 1x, metal backend for graphics. I'll have the FPS enabled, of course. All these here. Actually, I do have some of the hacks enabled. Actually, all of them enabled. I think most of these are enabled by default. But if you aren't getting great performance, then go ahead and enable some of those. But really, I would recommend just starting off with the defaults and see what works best. So let's jump in. First off, Animal Crossing. So you'll notice that it's actually working pretty well right now, at least. And this might be kind of a long video. I'm gonna skip around a little bit, but I want you to see the difference in performance in all these games in different situations, because certain things might be more choppy than other things, like cutscenes and whatever. So I want to show you exactly what this looks like. So it will be a longer video, but just bear with me here. Oh no. Beautiful. As you can see, we're at around 40 FPS. So it's not full speed. Can't believe I triggered resetty. All right. Going through Mr. Resetty's spiel there in slow motion was torture, but anyway. So you can see it's kind of going a little slow. Let me go back to the old settings I had here. I will say, when you are using this build of Dolphin, you're gonna get some thermal throttling most likely. It's just kind of the name of the game. I'm gonna turn these off. And I noticed that was happening a bit when I Notice that was happening a bit when I was talking to Mr. Reset. He was kind of dipping a bit. So, like I said earlier, like this is really cool, but make sure you temper your expectations here because there's going to be a lot of games that just are not going to run very well with this type of setup. You'll see that it's going up and down. You could probably get better performance with the PAL version here if you really wanted to. And again, you can mess with the settings. But I mean, you could play like this if you really wanted to. Like it's almost going to 60. And if you did use the PAL version, it would go to 50 and it would be a lot more playable. So, I mean, we're pretty close. Let's go to the next game here. I don't want to spend too long on one game. It's already been, I already have to cut out a bunch of that reset-y conversation. Okay, let's go to F-Zero. Now, right away, I'll already tell you, like, F-Zero is not going to work very well. It's one of the most demanding games that you can play on Dolphin, but you'll be surprised, like what it looks like here. I mean, if you were to do this on any other build of Dolphin and you were to disable JIT, it would be a lot worse. So just how well it's running is really impressive. I know I said I was going to leave all the settings default, but we're going to change that up. We're going to do something here. For this game, little secret, you can go up to 200 and that'll actually help. I'm going to turn this off so that it doesn't change the clock speed on us. Forgot to mention that. If you have that enabled, then it will get in focus here. If you have that enabled, it will basically toggle or change the clock speed depending on what it thinks it needs. So it's a little tip there. So we'll go here. It's going a little better, a little faster. Oh, we're in F-Zero. And again, it's not really playable, but just the fact that we're getting this type of performance here is pretty crazy. Because again, if you were to do this on any other build, go on your PC, disable JIT and change it to cached interpreter and try running this game. Unless you have a huge beefy rig, like you're not going to be pushing this very far. You're going to get 5-10 FPS easily. The fact that we're getting this type of performance here is pretty crazy. And with better devices, because there's obviously better devices than the 15 Pro Max now. You have the 16 Pro, and then the 17 series is going to be coming out too. Plus you have your M chip devices like the iPads and whatever, the M4. I'm sure that would be a lot better. Maybe not fully playable. I think this might actually be the PAL ROM here, but yeah, this one's not exactly playable, but again, super impressive to see just what this is capable of. So we'll quit that. Let's go. I'm not going to be testing all these games, but I'm going to test the notable ones here. I don't want to make this too long. Sorry, I'm moving the camera a lot here. Not sure what that was about. This is a beta, so expect things might not always work properly. According to the developer of this, there's maybe a few little tweaks they can make to increase performance, but past what we're seeing here, there's really not a lot more room to gain performance other than just getting more raw power on your device. Let's go up here. Let me, I think it's still set to the 200. Yeah, that might help. Let's bring this down. Sorry, I'm trying to do it through the camera. There we go. Let's try out some of the VI frequency settings here. Might as well. I'll turn these back on too. Just experiment a little bit. I know I said I was going to keep everything default, but we're obviously not doing that. I guess I just really need to show kind of how you're going to have to tweak all these different games. Like you're not really going to come across too many games that just work right out of the box with this, especially on a low-end device. So, yeah, we are running a little better here. See, the sound's not too bad. That's one thing with the VI frequency. If you lower it enough, you'll get clear sound. It's just a matter of if it can push the frame rate of the actual game. So, yeah, I mean, it's not really that fun. This is a fast-paced racing game. It's not really that fun to play at, you know, these low speeds, but again, we're testing stuff out here. Let's move on to the next game. Let's see, we'll do Sonic Adventure. Now, I know Providence has a Dreamcast core now, so you could probably get better performance there. I haven't actually tried that myself. I need to, but we'll just go ahead and test this out. Let's see, it sounds pretty good so far. Probably turn this down so I don't get a copyright strike, because I definitely will. So yeah, we're at 31. I mean, it's not, you're gonna have to tweak stuff, and some games are just not gonna work very well. Now the nice thing is with this Dolphin build is that if you have stick debug enabled, or stick debug set up, I should say, you can just go in and enable JIT, and it'll immediately kick on the JIT compiler without having to change any settings. So if you want to, you know, try that, and it looks like we just froze. Yeah. If you want to switch back and forth between the cache interpreter and JIT, you can do that without even changing any settings, which is really nice. So now I was actually getting pretty good performance with Mario Sunshine. Let me show that to you real quick. All right, I switched back over to the default settings because when I tried this earlier, that is what I had it set to. Let's see. This is where I tried earlier, and it was actually running pretty well. Now, of course, this game has different demanding, I should say, different like performance levels for each stage here, so it really can vary. But I mean, look at this. Like, if you were to run the PAL version of this, like you'd be at full speed basically. Let's try. Let's go here. Okay, have those enabled. Let's turn this on. We'll put it to 80, 78. A little better. Yeah, again, if you had the PAL ROM, this would basically be full speed. It'd be a bit smoother, so this is not too bad. I'm really curious to see what the new iPhones perform like with this. Yeah, not too bad. Let's go to the next game. We're going to do Super Smash Bros. Now I have two here. I have the regular and the PAL ROM. I'm going to show you the PAL ROM for this one, because this one actually got to some playable speeds. And the configuration that I tried here, so we'll have that set there, and then we'll do that. Have the VBI frequency at 75. Something that's interesting when you use the VBI frequency stuff, you'll notice that some of the loading between these menus is actually cut down, which is interesting. I only did 2 bots, because if you do 4, it really just slows things down a bit. And it's already slowing down. I think we're getting some thermal throttling too. Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, it's frustrating dealing with thermal throttling, but we are pushing the device to the maximum right now. And without JIT, it's, we just don't have a lot of options here. So if you have a phone cooler, that would be good to use for something like this. Or just use JIT, really. But I know that there's people that they don't have the option to use JIT because they can't set it up using their computer. They don't have a computer or whatever, which is understandable. I know not everybody has a computer. Turn this down just a little bit. But yeah, if you have the option to set up JIT, even just using your computer or somebody else's computer for the afternoon, just borrowing it, that's definitely the way to go, because you only have to set it up once. Unless you update your firmware on your phone or whatever, then you have to get your pairing file again. But otherwise, like if you just stay on your firmware that you're on and just leave it, you'll be good to go. Let me show you what this looks like with a little bit lower VBI. With this game specifically, it gets a little choppier, but the speed is actually Like, it's actually still playable. Some games will introduce kind of a frame skip like type effect. Whereas other games will actually run slower. It really just depends on the game. But I mean, I would play this. This is fully playable, really. And you can adjust the settings a bit more. We're not going to do that anymore. I'm just gonna keep playing this here. But I mean, this is basically playable. Like I'm actually having fun here. Still going a little slow. Could probably decrease the emulated clock one more time, but we're just gonna leave it. Okay. Do Zelda Wind Waker. This is not one that I've really had good success on. So yeah, it's not really that great, and I couldn't really get it much better than this, if I'm being honest. Let me quickly show you. If I just go to stick debug, you'll see that it automatically changed the GPU or the CPU core to JIT. So you don't even have to change any settings. It just does it automatically. If it detects that you have JIT, it'll run JIT. If it detects you don't have JIT, it just goes to the cached interpreter. So really cool. I think it's going a little slow because I still have the other settings enabled, but I mean, you get the idea. It's obviously running a lot better here. Yeah, it's definitely going a bit slow because of the, here, let me just go in and turn that off real quick just so you can see. Turn this off, turn that off. There we go. There we go. See, it's full speed. And with JIT, you could push the resolution as well. Without JIT, like you're not going to be able to push anything higher than 1x for any game. But with JIT, you can push it a lot harder. Also with JIT, if you're just running it at 1x, you're going to get a lot cooler temperatures on your phone. So thermal throttling is not going to be a problem. So just wanted to show you that real quick, just to kind of give you an idea of like how easy it is to just jump between those two. The last one I'm going to show you is Tony Hawk's Underground. You'll see it went back to cached interpreter because I closed it out. JIT is no longer active. This is one we're going to turn down because of the copyrighted music. All right. Now this game is a bit harder to run than some of the other ones we've done here. Let's go in. Let's see, it's chugging along. Let's go in and do the VBI hacks. We'll turn this on. Turn that. Do 80. We're doing a little bit better now. Yeah, this one's not really playable. This is definitely one I'd recommend using JIT with. The other Tony Hawk games, like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, I know is a lot less demanding, so that one might actually work a lot better. I don't have that one, but that one's probably going to work. I'd imagine Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 would probably work pretty well too. But I mean, again, it's just the fact that it's like running 20 FPS. It's just crazy to see without JIT. And I know, Android guys, trust me, I know you're cringing right now. I know you guys are running these games at much higher speeds with native JIT, native fast memory. I know, okay? Just as Fossey Carter would say, stand down, stand by, and let us iPhone users have a little bit of fun with this. And at least we have access to JIT. All right. Well, that's going to conclude these tests. All right, guys, what do you think of that? It's pretty cool if you ask me. Just seeing these games run without JIT on a mobile device is pretty cool. I know that's not a lot of games are really that playable. If you are really dedicated to getting these things working, then you can find a configuration for each game. And the developer of this fork of DolphiniOS said that they're working on the per game configuration setup. So you can go in and actually set configurations for each individual game, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure when that's coming, but I'm sure within the next couple of weeks, the beta will be updated some more. But anyway, if you guys like this type of content, please consider subscribing. I will see you in the next one. Peace.